Less Than Half a Day. I'm Mikayla Angoco.
I'm Chris Angoco.
And as you can see right in front of you is our own brain model that we just created. If you split it in half, we'll be going over 8 different parts of the brain structure. But yeah, let's get started. The first part I'll be focusing on will be the frontal lobe, which is identified by the color green on the model. The frontal lobe are considered our behavior and emotional control centers such as decision-making, planning, memory, and personality. The negative impacts of damage may cause a variety of effects such as impaired muscle movements, personality changes, and impulsive behavior. The next section I'll be focusing on will be known as the supplementary motor cortex, which is identified by the color in mustard yellow. This part contributes to the control of movement, and the negative impacts of damage is the person will typically experience a loss of coordination and poor dexterity. For example, the person usually loses the ability to perform fine motor movements that involve the muscles of the hands, fingers, and wrists. The third part of the brain that I'll be focusing on will be known as the parietal lobe, which is identified by the color in light yellow. The function of the parietal lobe is vital for sensory perception and integration, including the management of taste, hearing, sight, touch, and smell. It is home to the brain's primary somatosensory cortex, a region where the brain interprets input from other areas of the body. The negative impacts of damage to the parietal lobe on one side causes numbness and impairs sensation on the opposite side of the body. Affected people have difficulty identifying a sensation's location type, such as pain, heat, cold, or vibration. The fourth section of the brain that I'll be talking about is the occipital lobe, which is identified by the color purple on the brain model. This function is known as the visual processing area of the brain. It is associated with visual spatial processing, distance and depth perception, color determination, object and face recognition, and memory formation. The negative impacts of damage can lead to vision impairments such as blindness or blind spots, visual distortions, and visual inattention.
The first part I'll be focusing on will be the cerebellum, annotated with the color brown on the brain model. It is also known as the little brain. The functions of this part of the brain controls movement, which are involuntary, fine motor control, balance, and posture. Negative impacts may cause personality disorders, loss of senses and motor movement, or trouble with thinking and learning. The next section of the brain I will be focusing on will be the pons, that is connected and located directly underneath the midbrain, which is identified by the small pink section in the brain model. The pons is located here. The function of the pons works with the medulla and plays a critical role in generating the respiratory rhythm of breathing and is also the fundamental to rapid eye movement when you sleep. Negative impacts if the pons is damaged are that the patient may pass away, or if the patient with a complete injury survives, he or she could develop locked-in syndrome. In this syndrome, the person has no sensory or motor function, except for the ability to move their eyes up and down. Some people can also blend. The next section of the brain I'll be focusing on will be the medulla. It is located directly underneath the pons on this brainstem right here. The function of the medulla takes part in sending messages to the brain and the spinal cord, and is responsible for vital life support such as breathing, heart rate, and swallowing, mostly the cardiovascular and respiratory systems. Negative impacts, if damaged, most likely will cause respiratory failure, paralysis, or loss of sensation. The last section of the brain I'll be focusing on will be the corpus callosum, that is located in a small section colored in yellow, in light yellow, in our brain model, which is located here or here on the other side. The corpus callosum's function connects the left and right hemispheres, which ensures both sides of the brain can communicate and send signals to each other. If damaged or when severed, the two hemispheres can no longer communicate with each other. For example, the left visual field, which is the left half of what both eyes take in, will not vocally name what they have seen. So the left visual field is sent to only the right side of the brain, which means that the communication between two sides of the brain are inhibited.
We hope you enjoyed this video.
Thank you very much for tuning in. Adios.